It is completely confirmed that this country has been taken over by foreign multinational corporations who want to pull up the ladder and end the free market system of prosperity and reestablish a form of feudalism. And what's profound about that is it's fact, not exaggerated, not embellished. We have been hit by 21st century warfare. We have been conquered. But just as profound, the world is awakening. Look at the Brexit. Look at other nationalist movements across the planet, identifying that unelected multinationals, through fraudulent trade deals that are actually takeover agreements, have seized our nations by fraud and by stealth. But that itself is not the profound statement I was about to make. It's this. In the worldwide resistance to this, Drudge Report, Matt Drudge, Nigel Farage, Alex Jones, Donald Trump are now the undisputed defenders of the nation state. Now, that isn't a statement to sound arrogant or powerful. It's something I don't even want to be in this position. It makes my stomach tie up in knots, and I'm somebody who's never choked on air. We're now approaching a point where it's so surreal, and even the mainstream media admits we're the leaders of the opposition. They act like that's discrediting. No, what it's discrediting of is that people are hungry for freedom and hungry to resist tyranny, and other men have just stood there and done nothing and been bought off and gone along with this. The exciting news is we're having a huge effect that I never in my wildest imaginations going on air 21 years ago thought that I thought I would raise the alarm and then men who were better than me, smarter than I, more focused, with more resources would come to the call to save the country. And instead, listeners supported us and supported others in the movement. And so now the profound statement is, without any doubt, everybody looking at it prima facie, on its face, we are the resistance. And that means you are the resistance. You are the power of infowars.com. You are the power of drudgereport.com. And we are the resistance. Now, that said, everybody's really getting upset right now, and they should, because Homeland Security is announcing that they're taking over the control of the elections. And that's because we blew their operation wide open a month ago. Everybody knows, again, we launched a move to get Trump to come out and point out election fraud. And Trump took the ball, crossed the goal line big time, in sudden death overtime. And they are in full panic right now. Full panic. And it shows really how weak they are. That their entire giant media system worldwide, and the Pope and the Saudi royals and the kitchen sink and the Mexican president and all these other people attacking us, and we're winning the fight for public opinion because we're just promoting common sense. And no matter how much they demonize us, it just bounces off or even makes us stronger. Now that said, there's a reason InfoWars is so successful. And it's because we have a memory and we have common sense. And it's a great responsibility. But when I got up this morning and went to infowars.com and then drudgereport.com, I instantly knew what I had to do. Come in and play the words of Obama and Jay Johnson and others to show you how they're deceiving you. Ladies and gentlemen, Homeland Security is announcing that it is moving to completely take over the elections. And guess who's going to have Homeland Security authority in the elections? Guess. The multinational body that founded the United Nations and that basically controls the security agreements in the European Union. The security directive of the OECD, that is the technical name of the reorganization project that took place after World War II, known as the Marshall Plan. This is when you get down to the bottom layer of what actually runs things. The foreign global multinational system is coming in to run our elections. Now, before they let the Associated Press and 5 other trusted establishment media groups announce the fake numbers whenever they stole elections, because we've called it and Trump's called it and we've talked about it, they are being forced now to openly call it infrastructure protection, which Homeland Security always said they would do. I told you 15 years ago when they first gave it cabinet level status that Homeland Security was going to openly basically make law by regulations, and you'd have to have approval from them to build a barn in your backyard, have a farm, have a job. How did I know that? I watched the C-SPAN hearings when they were founding Homeland Security. I watched what Governor Ridge said they were going to do. And they are now going to run our elections. Now, remember, Obama said, Alex Jones, Donald Trump, well, back then they wouldn't say my name. The Texan, the creature in Texas says that, media. The feds aren't involved in elections. Locals run it. Oh, really? The feds aren't involved in elections? They always were, telling the media what returns to put out, trying to steal elections. Sometimes they weren't successful. Now they're coming in with the UN. That's what this is, to run it. And I covered this in great detail last week from Reuters. Reuters. OSCE, that's the security agreement of the OECD. Rights group. Oh, it's a rights group, just like all Soros's groups are. Request 500 international observers to monitor the U.S. presidential vote, 10 times what they did in 2012. And now this, from WorldNet Daily, Washington Examiner, it's on drudgereport.com. It's all been announced openly. Homeland Eye's special declaration to take charge of elections, Jay Johnson. The Department of Homeland Security began considering declaring the election a critical infrastructure, which means they're over it, and law is suspended under executive orders. We're going to cover all of this in great detail. And we told you it was coming. The internet's handed over October 1st to the UN. Fox News has been coup d'etat internally, so they won't challenge fraudulent returns. You see them moving, folks. This is the big one. Trump is way ahead in many polls, neck and neck, even in their fake polls, LA Times polls, he's ahead. They know he's the next president. They're going to try to block it. This is bigger than 1776 because there's 7.5 billion people. We've been overrun by globalists. There's all these weapon systems. The globalists are starting wars with Russia right now. This is an over-the-top moment, never before seen in history. And I'm sitting here with chills up and down my spine because I have the detailed analysis and breakdown, and I wrote reports. I'm just going to stop right there. I told you I had to take off some time over a month ago and write reports for people. I wrote reports on what I believe they would do, and I got it to the right people, obviously. And I'm telling you exactly what I said is happening. And I'm like doing the work nobody else will do, and I'm not even bragging, but I'm telling you, at this point, folks, when it comes to strategy against these people, I mean, I'm right there at the top, and I'm just like, this is insane. that there aren't other men out there that were fighting this. There's this Drudge and Joseph Farah and you know, Donald Trump's got the will to do it. God bless him, incredible stamina and courage. But I'm just letting you know, the listeners, how important you are and how historic this broadcast is so you understand. Because we're going to do what other people aren't going to do. Common sense. We're going to play Jay Johnson first. This is what Homeland Security Director says about Trump, and he's going to run the election. I'm going to skip this break. This is so beyond bombshell. This is hydrogen bomb level over the top. He's come out and said you're disqualified. Obama said you're disqualified. You're not allowed to run. You're evil. You're bad. You're un-American. Everything they are. And then they're going to run the election with the corporate group that did the reconstruction of Europe that's funded and run by the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the globalists, a private combine. I mean, this is the shadow world government. The Organization of Economic and Cooperative Development is the New World Order. It's the IMF, it's the World Bank, it's the WTO, it's the TPP, it's the tentacles, it's the group, it's totally secret. It's dispatching its security services, that's Interpol and spooks, to run our election. It's beyond the UN. The UN is just its little factotum that it transfers sovereignty to and then it runs, but it's still a front and a fake debating club. This is unbelievable, but I predicted it. You already predicted months ago on air. I know the enemy. I know their operations. This is all I do is study them. And I'm not bragging. I'm saying you need to know you are getting the Death Star plans, period. This is it. And the thing is coming around and is going to be clear to fire in the next few months. Total world government tyranny is coming in. They're planning a financial collapse after this. That's evident. They're trying to prop up the German banks. They admit they're preparing martial law, troops in the streets. Germans are already getting the food off the shelves. I mean, you can just see it. Tick, 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 tick. They're just running the jihadis in as fast as they can. Oh, my God, help us. And I don't mean that in vain. I mean, God help us. This is incredible. I'm sure now they're making their big move. This is it, folks. They're going to start wars. They're going to plunge stock markets. They're going to turn paramilitary loose. You decide what side you're on with God right now. The photo on drudgereport.com says it all. It's behind me on screen that we can pull back and show folks. Them in their big fake Homeland Security Situation Room where they spy on everybody and all the rest of it. And they're going to run the election. Of course, they were always doing it, but Obama said they weren't. So let's play Jay Johnson. This clip is, talk about projection. This is it. I believe this is Jay Johnson just a few months ago. I believe that it's the responsibility of those of us in national security and homeland security when a leading candidate for office proposes something that is irresponsible, probably illegal, unconstitutional, and contrary to international law, un-American, and will actually hurt our efforts in homeland security and national security, we have to speak out. And he went on to say Donald Trump is disqualified and shouldn't be president. They're the ones doing all this. They're the ones violating our laws. They're the ones opening our borders. They're the ones involved in all these scams. They're the ones, and now everything they say about us is what they're doing, and they're going to run the election. But remember, go ahead and get Roger Stone on the line. Remember, Obama said that the feds aren't involved in elections. He said, what is election fraud? Ha ha, like it doesn't even exist. This is the complete arrogance of these people. Look, I know you can fix the elections. I know you can get away with basically any crime you want. I get all of that. But you can't go on forever, globalists. You're doing it in front of everyone now. And just because you're planning to try to shut down the internet and have some type of civil emergency to cover your butt, it's not going to work. You people are crazy. And just because you've been put in by the New World Order because you got chips on your shoulders or whatever, just because you call people that want free elections racist doesn't make it so, Obama. And you're not allowed to steal elections, Obama, for Hillary just because you're part African. The political correctness is over. Let's go ahead and play Jay Johnson. This is the guy who is absolutely should recuse himself. He is disqualified. It's a conflict of interest, the most brazen of which we haven't seen in a few months since Loretta Lynch was meeting with Bill Clinton illegally on the airplane. So here's Jay Johnson.
As the Secretary of Homeland Security, I have avoided responding to the political season and what candidates have said running for president. However, I believe that it's the responsibility of those of us in national security and homeland security when a leading candidate for office proposes something that is irresponsible, probably illegal, unconstitutional, and contrary to international law, un-American, and will actually hurt our efforts at homeland security and national security, we have to speak out.
And that's Trump wanting to vet Muslims coming in. Oh, if you're not checking their IDs, then stop them. Well, I can't get in without them checking my passport. Now, this is the guy that's going to run the elections. And I told you they're going to try to steal the election because Trump, in so many real polls and scientific polls, is really ahead. They know this. And I told the world, watch. They're involved. They stole it from Sanders. They tried to steal it from Trump. And Trump has common sense. He comes out. He's done his own research. It says exactly that. And they flip out and say, Trump's a kook. We're now going to have the UN and the EU overseeing our election. That's Reuters. And guess who advises them? Soros. We have his own emails. So here is the clip from Obama making fun of myself and Trump, saying election fraud, what's that? And saying the feds aren't involved. As they move to, quote, take over the election to take charge of critical infrastructure. That's called martial law when the party in power takes control of the election. This is, but don't worry, the UN's here to certify it's okay. They admit they're watching Trump and making sure he doesn't try to stop illegals from voting. This is a foreign takeover of America. This is treason emboldened, emblazoned in flame. You are watching history, people. Let's play the clip of Obama.
Of course the elections will not be rigged. What does that mean? The federal government doesn't run the election process. States and cities and communities all across the country, they're the ones who set up the voting systems and the voting booths. And if Mr. Trump is suggesting that there is a conspiracy theory that is being propagated across the country, including in places like Texas, where typically it's not Democrats who are in charge of voting booths. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. And
the implies we're saying Texas will be stolen. We're talking about nationally, the feds involved. Homeland Security's always been involved the last 15 years. Now they've got 10 times the monitors. They're bringing in foreigners to come do their dirty work. This is like a spy novel on PCP. It's happening. It's in Reuters. They're seizing control. And I tell you what I think Trump has to do right now. We're going to do it. We're going to put together the informational videos. You can call them ads, but they're not. They're just support of the First Amendment and the right to vote, where we show Obama saying feds don't run elections and then cut to them announcing that the feds are taking over the elections. And then Trump warning of this and being proven right. I mean, the UN and the EU bureaucrats are going to be here running our elections. Roger Stone, at this point, this is so incredible that this is actually happening. This appears like they're completely panicking. They seem completely wild-eyed and desperate. I've never seen such lies. I've never seen such cheerleading in the media for other media to get more intense in line. Trump is acting presidential, going to New Orleans, going to Louisiana, going to Mexico today to meet with the Mexican president. What in the world is going on here? How can the party in power announce an emergency and seize control of the election, which we already know they were trying to mess with? Sir, what are the words to describe this?
Sure. Well, first of all, let's address, Alex, what the president said. We don't even know what election theft is, what voter fraud is. Let me illuminate the president. It is manipulation of the computerized voter machines in wide use in this country, the so-called Diebold or PES machine. We have an authoritative Stanford study that shows that these machines were rigged against Bernie Sanders. We have a study by a Princeton professor, Appel, showing that the machines can be rigged in 7 minutes or less. We have a CBS video showing how a $15 device you can buy at Radio Shack or Best Buys can be used to hack these machines and vote multiple times. CBS, not exactly a part of the conservative alt media. So the president is saying, in essence, he ignores the technology, and we're supposed to rely on the integrity of those in the political process not to rig the election, even though it is technologically very possible. Here's what's happened, Alex. Donald Trump has raised this question, and more Americans are asking whether we're going to have an honest election. This is the establishment's attempt to put a cap on this. I reminded of Ronald Reagan, who said the most dangerous words in the English language: "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you." You're right. There is no significant role. We need to watch the watchers, because that's where this election...
And you said that over a month ago. You said, Alex, I'm more concerned about Homeland Security. You said Loretta Lynch and Jay Johnson on this show. We got to find the clip because it's so powerful, and show the date, because it's just this. We are so on target. I'm not even bragging. I just can't believe how on target Drudge is, Trump is, you are, we are.
Well,
I mean, we are on target. That's why they're crapping their pants.
Right, and I think your listeners need to get acclimated. Anytime a speaker or an analyst or somebody in the news or someone who supports Hillary says the words conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory, that person is lying. Whatever they're telling you is a lie. You see, they can't refute that these machines are hackable. They can't refute that they've been hacked in the past.
And they say Donald Trump's disqualified. He's not allowed to be president. The guy running the machines is saying this to us, that just let Hillary off. Stay there, sir. You're going to have the floor when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a lot of the breaking news, but this is just incredible that this early. I knew Homeland Security was going to be involved doing it. But now they're just like, we have to protect it from hackers. The Russians want to steal it. If Trump wins, the Putin did it. Oh, and let's not forget, I said who's leading the resistance against the New World Order? Front and center, it is Vladimir Putin. Because he's a nationalist, folks. He's not in our business. We'll be back. Stay with us. Campaign. He knows the mind of Donald Trump. But now it's so clear that Donald Trump is a patriot, is a champion, is a nationalist, and the whole global crime syndicate is doing everything they can to stop him. U.S. News & World Report has articles out about what happens if he dies. Then the election's canceled. Very creepy stuff. They are telegraphing threats. This is an over-the-top time to be alive. And just finishing up here, Jay Johnson says, I'm going to disqualify Trump. And now he says, I'm going to run the election. And Obama says, there's no such thing as election fraud. What's that? Besides, the feds don't run elections. As he comes in with executive action, infowars.com, Washington Examiner, WorldNet Daily, Breitbart, but it's all directly linked to them. Homeland Eye's special declaration to take charge of elections. And now you see the internet being censored. You now see patriots being censored. You now see leaked memos reveal Soros' plan for federally controlled police, themselves directed by the UN. And libertarian and patriot conservative sites not allowed to operate in the web of the future. Kicking us off the web, putting us into non-electronic gulags. Going to Roger Stone. I want to talk about how we stop this, what we do. For me, Roger, this signifies very, very serious desperation. Even their tweaked polls in the LA Times show him a point or more ahead. A lot of the algorithms, as you know, show him winning handily. I know you like to be a pessimist just to be safe, but am I wrong in saying they're panicking right now? And doesn't this backfire when they all say, you're disqualified, you can't be president, and then they come in after Donald and others, as I said earlier, we needed to raise this early before they came in and took it over. We raised it. Now they come in. This looks like they've really stepped in it, Mr. Stone. Give us your expert analysis.
Sure, Alex. What all of this means to me is that they have every intention of trying to rig this election, and they're now trying to put the best possible face on it, dress it up. I think Trump has signaled them very strongly that if he is robbed, he does not intend to walk away. If there is hard-core admissible evidence of a rigged election, that he's going to dispute the election. So they're trying to dress up the results.
And you are building an army, and we are building an army to have exit polls and analysis. They know we're serious.
Interestingly enough, the only hacking that's going on is the hacking of us. Yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Harry Brown wrote to the FBI demanding that they investigate me and the Russians, which is laughable.
Told you that was coming.
Regarding whether we have obtained certain Democratic Party documents through hacking. Let's be clear. There is no evidence that the Russians have hacked anyone yet. The DNC documents that indicted Deborah Wasserman Schultz and showed that Hillary stole the nomination from Bernie came from Crucifer 2 in the original hacking and then were authenticated by WikiLeaks. No Russian involvement.
And Guccifer 1 was not Russian. Well, look, it's been confirmed that it's actually U.S. intelligence agencies actively doing this because they know there's a foreign takeover of the country. And this is amazing. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, an extraordinary piece in the Financial Times yesterday documenting the involvement of the Ukrainian billionaire, Viktor Pinchuk, his ties to the Clinton campaign, and the fraudulent campaign used to smear Paul Manafort. The ledger that alleges payments to Manafort, a forgery by Ukrainian intelligence. Yes, there's foreign interference in our elections, but it's not by the Russians. It's by the paid allies like Soros, like the Ukrainians.
Sure, that's a Soros operation. Ukraine is their new headquarters. They've taken it over. They're stealing the gas, stealing the money, stealing the bonds, looting everything. And what did Soros say? He goes, I want to take over Ukraine to get a new Marshall Plan that'll fund my operations. He doesn't even hide it. He bankrupts it. He gets the new Marshall Plan and then takes over.
And really what's extraordinary here is the chutzpah of the Clinton people saying Trump is in bed with Putin when it's the Clintons who sold Putin control of our uranium production. It's the Clintons who have done favors for the oligarchs who are supporting.
And by the way, even the Huffington Post is reporting this. It's strange they're even telling the truth. I mean, Hillary gets $35 million from the Russians to get 1/5 our uranium. That's treason. Can you imagine if Trump did something like this?
Well, what's amazing here is that your activities, my activities, the folks at stopthesteal.org, the folks who watch InfoWars, the watchers of Breitbart and Daily Caller and so on, we are under their skin. They attacked you by name last week, the Democratic candidate for president. They attacked me the week before, saying that I am a right-wing conspiracy theorist. No, I'm a conspiracy realist. I deal in facts. And the fact is, they are prepared to steal this election. They are prepared to rig these machines. The Clinton Foundation is a slush fund, and more precisely, a vehicle for the facilitation of multi-billion-dollar bribes in which everything in our foreign policy was essentially for sale. So to the extent that there's foreign interference in our elections, it is by Viktor Pinchuk and
absolutely, and it's admitted. So let's stop right there. This isn't tooting our horn. It's letting the listeners understand this and know this. Infowars.com, Alex Jones, Matt Drudge, DrudgeReport.com, a constellation of other groups who deserve credit as well, WorldNet Daily, Daily Caller, Breitbart in a big way. They always try to demonize us and act like we're discredited because they're actually so scared of our narrative because it's actually historical and accurate, and what CENTCOM knows is true and what generals all over the place like Flynn and others know. I mean, the entire military basically now knows there's a foreign takeover. They get it. They are linking up. They're aware of what's happening. And I really think that the folks up top who've stolen the country are starting to realize how much trouble they're actually in and how many crimes they've actually committed as more emails come out that Hillary wasn't just selling access to the president through her foundation, but to the Chinese president. That is a whole nother level of insanity. I mean, these people are crazy. Look at how she kept stuff on her private server, knowing it would be hacked. I mean, it does seem like they're incredibly reckless, Roger Stone. What do you make of their position right now and the fact that they tried to demonize you and I and Drudge and others? Trump took all these messages and truth and his own ideas, busted through it all, And now they're in panic mode because everything we've said has been legitimized. The extremists are now the gold standard. We're not the extremists. We're what's left of America. We understand what's happening. So all I'm letting the listeners know is this is the brain trust. Why are they panicking so much? Where do we go next, Roger Stone?
Well, notice the entire campaign of personal vituperation, personal attacks. You see, when they can't refute your arguments, and they're worried that you're starting to communicate the truth about how they intend to steal this election and about how the mainstream media is entirely one-sided, you get attacked personally. They've attacked you. They've attacked me. They attack Stephen K. Bannon, manufacturing.
They're doing incredibly dirty things behind the scenes right now, folks, just so you know.
And it's all personal. One of my very close associates, Christian Josie, longtime conservative activist, hacked as soon as he came to work for me. His email, his bank accounts, his social media contacts. All he did was go online and tell the truth. Bill Clinton is a serial sexual predator, and Hillary has acted as an accessory.
So they're bullying. It's not working. What do they do next? How do these slime bags, these cornered rats, what do they do next?
Well, I think it's very clear. They're going to continue the war of personal attacks. They're going to try to make Donald Trump into Barry Goldwater, 1964. He's mentally unstable. He's unfit.
You predicted that. Now the main drama is he's mentally ill, when Hillary obviously is mentally ill.
Yeah, it's very clear that that anything they say about Trump turns out, ironically, to be true about their own candidate. Folks will be able to get Trump's measure in these debates. They'll be able to see whether or not he is capable of the big job. He's been very disciplined on the campaign trail. He's been on offense. She's on defense. The polls are closing quickly nationally. There's a little lag in the key states, but the whole point here is this is a viable race. The media is going to be telling us now for the next 60 days, it's over, Trump's a loser, it's going to be a landslide. They're trying to set an expectation level for the subsequent rigging of the elections. Read the Stanford study, read the Princeton study, read the study by Professor Robert Fitrakis at Ohio State Community College. These are learned men. These are not right-wing kooks. They will all tell you how easy it is to rig these machines.
Sure, Roger. I understand you do probably 20 interviews a day. I mean, you're killing yourself. You're amazing. And you're educating our audience. But our audience is extremely educated on all this. We're talking strategy here with you, my friend, with the actual soldiers, the sergeants, the captains, the colonels, the generals. And in so many cases, I mean literal generals, as you know, that understand, we understand, they understand, we're on target. You know, this is real analysis, real info. We're sitting here in a big, basically war encampment around the big table in the tent. Strategy, our strategy, the enemy strategy. We don't have to hide our strategy. We wear it on our shoulder, you know, tell the truth. But, I mean, do you agree with me that the enemy is floundering right now and really making desperate moves, revealing their open plan to bring in multinationals to oversee the election with the Justice Department and the Homeland Security that say they're not going to let Trump be president? This is so naked. Let's talk about that. And then what do we do if they do try to steal it in the battleground states?
Well, I think this has several parts, Alex. First of all, they are going to have the full force and budget of the federal government to try to pull off this ruse. As I said, we have to watch the watchers.
So that's the real announcement. Homeland Security, run by foreign multinationals, is announcing they're going to steal the election. I mean, that's all this is. They're now announcing they're going to come in and steal it.
And I've now determined that the data center to count all the votes nationally is based in Spain. In Spain, not in the United States.
Of course.
There is going to be an ongoing effort to create an expectation level so that they can pull off the steal more smoothly. The campaign of personal attack and vituperation is going to continue. It's not going to matter, Alex. I'm not running for president. You're not running for president. She is running.
Look, it's an honor to be lied about, attacked by total scum.
But let's be clear. George Soros is giving the traitor misfit, David Brock, a man who would make Joseph Goebbels proud when it comes to lies and disinformation, $30 million to go on Twitter, to go on Facebook, to spread disinformation about us personally, but about this election, about the Clinton Foundation, and so on. We have to rely on volunteers. That's why I beseech patriots, go to stopthesteal.org. We need you to volunteer.
Trump is building an army. We're building an army. And let's be clear, folks. We're not bragging. We want you to understand this is the equivalent of the X-Wings going down the trench towards the Death Star. This is history. This is for all the marbles. This is at the highest levels. We are engaging them. I haven't even plugged this hour. Everyone must go to InfoWarsStore.com and get a Hillary for President shirt at cost, $9.95. That includes shipping. Everyone must go there and get us enough. Now is the time to spread the word. The world is listening. How obvious is it with Obama saying there's no such thing as election fraud, the feds aren't involved, and then the feds announced basically a civil emergency over critical infrastructure to protect the election and are coming in to take it over because they're worried about hackers when they're the ones, the federal government and others, that have been caught stealing elections. We've had Diebold chief engineers testify to Congress on this. So just what Roger Stone, so astute, listen to him. He said a month ago on this show repeatedly, watch the watchers, watch Homeland Security, watch Jay Johnson, Loretta Lynch, watch if they send a bunch of people in, that's who'll steal it. And now they want to protect it all of a sudden. And that shows they're making this risky move because they know Trump is pulling ahead. 5 minutes left. Thank you for your time, Roger Stone. Other points you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we're at a crucial juncture here in which they're trying to set the narrative in advance so that they can get away with stealing this election. Look, you have a number of events that are going to roil this race. I am absolutely convinced that Julian Assange and the folks at WikiLeaks have the equivalent of political dynamite that they intend to drop on the Clintons between now and the election. So now suddenly David Brock, Media Matters for America, correct the record, which should be distort the record. Now suddenly we're questioning the credibility of Assange. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's a nut, even though
these are admitted documents that prove Hillary is commanding the media.
Right. So where the documents came from is really immaterial. It's what the documents say, because none of these leaks have ever been questioned in terms of their authenticity.
Well, even real liberals like Greenwald are coming out and saying Hillary's a complete monster because she is.
These emails are the equivalent of the Watergate tapes. They're indelible. They're out there, and they're going to come back.
They're worse. They're more powerful.
In the ass.
They're more powerful. What do they do then when these come out? Start a new war? I mean, how are they going to try to distract from all this, Roger?
Well, first of all, their friends in the mainstream media will attempt to minimize it. You can already see the drumbeat now questioning the motive.
Russians. It's Russians.
Right. It's Assange. He's releasing the truth to help the Russians. I want to know what the truth is. I mean, Putin's not a dumb man. He understands that Hillary's word is no good. He knows that Hillary is a liar. He knows that no negotiation
Hillary loves failed states and is evil.
And he knows that Trump is for a period of détente. Trump wants peace. Trump is the peace candidate.
And that's horrible. So they say he wants nuclear war. He wants peace, so he wants nuclear war. She wants war, so she's good.
And he, frankly, would like to have a period of hard-headed negotiations after which we could coordinate our activities with the Russians.
Exactly. And he knows China is the one screwing us over, not the Russians.
Well, like Nixon, he's prepared to play them off against each other in the best interests of the United States, as opposed to the Obama-Clinton foreign policy, which is bending over for them.
Getting back to Trump and his view on Russia, I mean, you're saying, obviously, from just your research, obviously not from talking to him, that he would like to work with Russia. That would be great. Imagine a world, the globalists for 100 years, the robber barons have always tried to stop us from linking up with Russia. Doesn't that make perfect sense?
Well, look, economic opportunity is what got them out of the gulag, and capitalism works. That's why they have to use it to reform their system. Putin is a nationalist. Trump is a nationalist.
Hold on, 70 seconds. I know you have another interview, but do 5 more with us and we'll let you go. Roger Stone's our guest. I'm Alex Jones.
They, not we, they are going to cause a constitutional crisis.
And by the way, you were the #2 in command taking it away. I mean, who knows who really won from Gore. I mean, you're somebody that does this.
Well, in that case, we don't really know who won that election. It's actually impossible to decipher. And therefore, a war of tactics and superior strategy, awarded that election to George W. Bush.
And that's why they're so scared of you.
Well, the fact that he then led us into the Iraq War is one of the
I know you hate him, and you've gone public ever since then. I mean, you're for marijuana legalization. You're more of a libertarian. I mean, you're a good guy.
I'm still asking my God for forgiveness for what I've done for the Bushes. I was blind, but the scales...
And look at how they're in bed with the Clintons. So you're really battling the Bushes now. You're trying to get your soul back.
Right, because it's the same criminal combine. This is the Bush-Clinton crime family. Read my books.
No, I agree with you, and you don't say that. I'll tell you the thing about Roger Stone. I love him. I mean, this is a great guy because he is so accurate. He doesn't tell you what you want to hear. He really tells you what he really thinks is going on. And 9 times out of, I mean, it's just, I'd say nine times out of 100, he's dead on. I agree with you. They're not going to, if they steal this, it's their undoing. They will not be able to keep it in their hands.
Agreed. Alex, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Or anytime you want to pop in, Roger Stone, anytime. StoneColdTruth.com. Get his books at InfoWarsStore.com and get the Bill Clinton rape shirt he designed at InfoWarsStore.com.
Alex, how's it going?
Good, brother. Go ahead.
Great. I go into the office every day and sitting there and just listening to my editors and the other reporters just going off constantly about how much of a warmonger Trump is, how insane he is. I just kind of sit back and laugh to myself as I listen to them talk, kind of keeping some things to myself, but definitely it reaches points where I just start breaking out laughing when they start talking. Lately I've been bringing up some of the health issues, and they just think that I'm making these things up. And I print off articles, mainstream articles, pretty much anything I could find and hand it to them. Like, look, I'm not making this stuff
She's
up.
had a bunch of brain surgery. She's falling down. She doesn't know who she is. In her own WikiLeaks, she wants Parkinson's medication. She's on weird blood thinners and stuff they haven't used in 40 years. Medical doctors are getting fired that talk about it. What do you think is going on with her?
Honestly, I think she is breaking down. I think that she probably does have Parkinson's or something similar to that. And I think she's realizing, and the people around her are realizing, that she doesn't have much time, and they need to do whatever they can to get her in so that they can get the plan continuing down the road, even if she's not around to be a part of it.
That's right. That's what Dr. Pachenik told us today. He's coming on the next few days. The word is they're already preparing Kane. And again, I have guests on that don't make stuff up. I mean, if they say they've got the intel, they've got it. And Hillary is not long for this world. I mean, and I'm not threatening her. The media will say, like, we have this deal where you talk about her campaign's disintegrating. It's like her blowing away. And they go, oh, the news, that's her head being blown off. I don't wish any harm against Hillary. They want me to say that because then they can green light taking me out. That's kind of how this works. Look, if I thought it would save the world for Hillary to have something bad happen to her, then I would be honest about it. I don't want anything physical to happen to her. She's just a front puppet, but a very nasty one. But I do want to see her prosecuted so we can roll up all the foreign assets that are controlling her. But getting back to your newsroom, that's what I see around leftists, is this hype. Have you seen the New York Times, Washington Post? They write articles this week and last week saying, we need to be more unimpartial and more hateful. And so what if we're lying about Trump? He's bad. I mean, I never imagined I'd see articles from the New York Times calling for more vitriol and lashing the media for not being more hateful. I mean, this is crazy.
I tell you what, though, there's a newspaper, the Patriot News, which actually won a Pulitzer a few years ago.
No, it is, yes.
Coverage of the Sandusky Penn Live. There's a columnist, John Misick, that's on there. Every single day he has an anti-Trump column. It's like he's the anti-Trump beat. But if you go on the comments section and look at the comments that people are writing, people are not buying it at all. I mean, 10-1, it's just saying, this is a total joke.
Oh, I know liberals who are good people who don't like Republicans because of abortion and wars or whatever. And I get the war stuff. I hate the Republican establishment, but they're like, yeah, I've never opened the New York Times up and every article is like foaming at the mouth. The Washington Post, CNN, foaming. I mean, they have just totally dropped any pretense of objectivity. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Let me ask you this question. When you're talking to all these reporters and writers around you, are they in a bubble, or do they understand that this has become an incredible spectacle?
Well, here's another thing. The political reporter who sits right across from me the other day, she's like, do you know what the alt-right is? And I just started laughing, and she started watching the Washington Post video that they made of what their quote unquote what the alt-right is. And I said, well, look at these people they're talking about. Nigel Farage, he's not extreme. These people are not extreme.
These are sane people.
Talking about how horrible Breitbart is. You are so every point that she brings up is 100% mainstream leftist talking points that she brings up, and that's what she writes about politically. It's amazing.
Well, that shows how disconnected they are. I mean, when you've got Greenberg and all these other people coming out that are like real liberals, respected guys that expose Bush, and now Obama's doing bad and Hillary is, they're exposing it. These are good liberals. These are the good liberals I grew up around. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I'm not a right-winger guy. The issue is they're so committed to hating Republicans, they'll do anything for the Democrats. I wonder if they're ever going to wake up from their trance. I mean, what did she say when you pointed out, this is WikiLeaks. This was the hero of the left just 6, 7, 8 years ago. Why do you now hate him?
Well, I look back, I was pretty involved with the anti-war movement, going to protests and just looking at these people. And some of these same people I see were in newsrooms being part of the protests. I'm like, where are these people now? Where have they gone? Do you not realize, look at the list of the people who are supporting Hillary. This is something that I brought up the other day. Paul Wolfowitz, Dov Zakheim, Michael Chertoff, the right wing of all right wing.
The ultimate warmongers, the ultimate war pigs.
Yeah, and their comeback is, well, Dick Cheney supports Trump, so that's their only comeback. Oh, Dick Cheney supports it.
Well, all I know is this. Trump is an unknown quantity to a certain extent. I'm not going to claim I know he's perfect. But we know what we've got here with Hillary. And the fact that people claim they're anti-establishment, this is the time then to stand up against the establishment. Great points, Mike. Thank you so much. And you can tell that's a real reporter, smart guy, who's sitting here and talking to him. You can tell probably a classical liberal, a real nice guy that's smart and wants everybody to have freedom. And he's just looking at all these fascist reporters acting completely insane and throwing total objectivity out the window and distorting what Trump says. He's just like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Julio, who I know is a radio host and also newspaper reporter, he's called in for years. Julio, what is your take on all this? Why do you think the Homeland Security is, quote, taking over the election?
Well, just look at the polls, Alex, and I hope you're doing well. Look at the polls of corporate media and how much the people distrust corporate media here in the state. It's not a surprise to me to see Homeland Security doing this. Being in Chicago, it's the third largest market in the country behind Los Angeles and New York City. And a lot of these reporters, I've had experience as an intern and then moving back to Chicago recently and working as a radio news reporter for a statewide news agency. A lot of these reporters in Chicago on the TV side are quite comfortable. They're worried about pushing the envelope and getting canned by most stations in Chicago are owned and operated by the big networks. They're correct.
And Dr. Drew was the message. It doesn't matter how high your ratings are. You even say you want to help Hillary, you're fired.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to see the bias. I've covered the Republican debate in Vegas back in December. I've covered the Illinois presidential primary.
You were a big detractor of Bush. I protested Bush with you.
it's amazing to see and to converse with some of these reporters, or even hearing them. Mostly I'm silent when I cover some of these events because I like a sponge. I want to absorb everything I hear from sources. It's amazing to hear the bias from some of these reporters, how they're working with their editors, working with their news directors, working with other reporters for opposing news organizations to do what they can to support their particular candidate. In this instance, in the presidential primary, it's Hillary Clinton. And to see...
I was about to say, I've never seen such coordination between media to lie. They get together with the unified BS of the day. It's crazy.
It's what another reason that is, Alex, is because a lot of these stations, despite them, here in Chicago, in high-rise buildings, beautiful buildings.
Stay there. Come back in 70 seconds, Julio. We'll be back. Stay with us. Affirmative. Go ahead.
So a lot of the stations in Chicago and throughout the big markets across the country are so dependent on newswire services. I worked at a small radio station in Wyoming, and smaller markets, that's all they can get is newswires.
They're repeaters. They're repeaters. They're repeaters.
They're repeaters, Alex. And so when you have Agence French Press, or you have Reuters, or you have Associated Press, or you have even these big markets, Fox, NBC, et cetera, churning out the same types of garbage, the same types of biased reports, they get picked up all over the just based off of the budget constraints by so many of these news organizations, big market, medium market, small market. They're all. And
then Drudge comes along, or Infowars comes along, and listeners send us videos, their own articles. That just creates an alternative, and more radio stations, TV stations are actually tuning into that alternative view. That's why they say, oh, don't go to Drudge or Infowars. That's discredited, but that doesn't work anymore. So, Julio, in 30 seconds, how do they counter that? They shut the web down.
Well, of course, they shut the web down. Stations buy up more and more stations, fire the departments, and then keep churning and burning the same type of garbage. I had an interview with the largest news wiring service in the country recently, and during the interview, I talked about, we just started shooting the breeze about the election. I asked, what do you think about this nationalist trend? We see it in France with Marine Le Pen. We see it in Britain, in the UK with Nigel Farage. We're seeing sort of a new dichotomy in politics, and it's happening right here in the States. Sort of happened a little bit with the Tea Party, but it's now flourishing with Donald Trump. And this guy from the largest news wiring service in the country told me to my face, yeah, but here in the States, it's more of the racist far right. And we think that, to an end here.
That's all they've got. Listen, Julio, I have met you several times. I've seen your work. You've leaked this great info. We ought to talk to you about working for InfoWars. Would you want to move down here to Texas?
I'm in a position now where I can do more independent stuff. Would love to contribute in any way possible. You've seen my work.
All right. Listen, I got your number years ago. We've talked, hung out in D.C., you name it, and Chicago. But send me your info right now. Give me your number to Political Science. He is currently a senior staff reporter at WorldNet Daily, where he works as an investigative reporter, WND.com. He's an expert on political violence and terrorism and worked as a consultant in a lot of clandestine areas. In 1981, he received a top-secret clearance for the Agency for International Development, where he assisted in providing anti-terrorism training to embassy personnel. 25 years, beginning in 1981, he developed working and banks throughout the United States and around the world to develop financial services marketing companies to assist banks in establishing broker-dealers and insurance subsidiaries to provide financial planning products. So he revolutionized that whole area and services, including working for Trump, I would add, as a consultant, to their retail customers. He is a noted financial services speaker. That's really where he's the most prestigious, not just as a writer, but obviously the average listener doesn't know that because they're not into banking. And he's published many books, many of them New York Times bestsellers, WND.com, Twitter.com/Corsi _ or Jerome Corsi. Wow, where to begin? Obviously the economy, his book, so many fronts, but the clips, I've already played them twice, so I won't play them again, or maybe later. Obama says a month ago, what's election fraud? The feds don't run elections. Well, we know they've been caught, the party in power, before directing voter news services and the media the way the announcements are supposed to go. But now Homeland Security and Jay Johnson are announcing special executive action to defend the infrastructure and come in and, quote, protect it. And as Roger Stone said a month ago, watch if Homeland Security comes in to protect the machines. That's the fix. It's like prophecy. It's happening. So this is simply over the top. And then I have Reuters from last week, where the Organization of Economic Cooperative Development, that's really at the heart of globalism, from the Marshall Plan, it's OSCE, this multinational NATO Interpol group, is going to oversee with 10 times the people they had last time, 500 monitors, our election. So Obama's gone from the feds aren't involved to bringing foreigners in. I mean, this is so sensational, with George Soros' email saying have the UN run on local police, that it's like I'm a dog in a butcher shop. It proves everything. It's surreal, though. Dr. Corsi, I've thrown a big gestalt out there. Where do we begin? I mean, this is crazy.
Well, I think you're exposing the heart of the corruption that we're facing here, Alex. I mean, to begin with, you don't have an unbiased source when you've got Department of Homeland Security coming in with Jay Johnson to supervise the elections. I mean, it's like saying the IRS is an unbiased source when it won't give out any 501c3s to conservative groups, or that the Department of Justice is unbiased when it won't prosecute Hillary Clinton, even though it's clear that Hillary Clinton is extremely careless with her classified emails as Secretary of State. I mean, this bias of the corrupt Obama administration and the corrupt Clinton administration, I think, has got to be frightening. But, Alex, you've got the globalists scared to death of Donald Trump, and they're running as fast as they can to get to the finish line, to put in global government and to eliminate fundamental freedoms Americans experience under the Constitution as fast as they can.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, you've got a lot of really high-level contacts. When they have no fewer than 20-plus articles last month in The Economist, the Financial Times of London, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Atlantic Monthly, all the globalist organs saying globalism with Brexit is in deep trouble. If one more domino falls, if Hillary doesn't win, we're done. Red level panic, do anything, get her in. I mean, it seems like they're in a panic. Is that a put on, or why are they acting suddenly so scared?
Well, I think, Alex, globalists are scared. I think finally people are waking up. I mean, you've done a tremendous job of getting the message out.
Don't get me. You've done the job really documenting it for decades.
We've all been fighting this battle to get the people of the United States and around the world to realize that one world government is enslavement. It's enslavement by the transnational corporate structure and their power brokers in both the Democratic and Republican Party, to force the United States into a European Union. You're also going to see tremendous articles and pressure about Obama panicking that he's not going to be able to get this trans-Pacific.
That's what they're saying. They admit TPP's in deep doo-doo.
Deep trouble. And, what the Brexit, I think, shows is that despite the elites, despite the Paul Ryan and McConnell's, with the charade of the Republican Party as a conservative party, which at its core it is not, they're worried to death that they're going to lose control over the populations which dare to vote against the Brexit. And we're seeing the same thing now, the drum roll, Trump is going to lose, give up, don't vote. It's all over. Hillary's already won. I mean,
Tokyo Rose stuff.
Exactly, precisely. All propaganda, all aimed at discouraging those of us who know that the populism that's building around the world is a pushback against the enslavement.
So let me ask you this then, as one of the architects of defeating this over 40 years, and as you told us, no, Trump's for real. I've been talking to him for 40 years. He knows everything we know and more. He's obviously anti-New World Order. It's why they're crapping their pants. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. I see them losing either way. If they steal it, they lose. Authoritarianism won't prop this up in what's left of our open society. Their whole program relies on stealth, as their own documents from BAMP Canada that you put out and others put out show. So what do they do? I mean, I don't want to be overconfident here, but it does seem that the tide has really shifted. The tables have turned.
Well, I mean, I expect a massive, violent kind of effort before this is over. I mean, there's going to be either a war, there'll be an assassination attempt, there'll be some, thing to frighten the American people into thinking the only way we can survive as a nation is if we let the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the IRS rule the nation. And they will rule it not for justice. They're going to rule it for the Clinton elite, for the Obama elite, for the elite in the GOP as well. Believe me, the GOP and the Democratic Party are not two parties. They are two wings of the same party. And that's what Donald Trump, yes, Donald Trump is the real deal. I've known Donald Trump. I've talked to him. He truly does believe in America.
I've been on the phone with you before when you had to get off like 10 years ago when Donald Trump was calling up. Like, yes, I got to go. Donald Trump's calling up. Right. So.
I remember that too. Yeah, that's right. I mean, well, Donald Trump is he's a really sincere guy. If you get to know Donald Trump, as part of what gets him into trouble with the media is
that's where he gets all this energy. He's in the epic battle. He knows it. He told me, he said, use the energy. He goes, it's so good. I mean, he just loves it.
Well, and in fact, he dares to say what is on his mind to say, whether it's politically correct or not. And look at the moves he's taking. He's going to go to Mexico. He's daring to now start calling out Hillary and Bill Clinton on the foundation. And I wrote this book because I think the foundation is the Achilles
Let's talk about the book, because you've been writing it over the last year. Now it's here. It's all coming out. The Chinese president, pay to play. I mean, this is incredible. If somebody doesn't indict her, it seems like the sky's the limit, because other people are going to be involved in espionage and say, hey, you did nothing to Hillary.
Well, and I wrote the book to point out that the crime here is not just pay to play, but it's enormous. Enormous is using a foundation for personal gain. And anyone who's contributed $1 to the foundation can go to a state attorney general, and at that state attorney general, file a criminal complaint against the Clinton administration.
And doesn't Trump have standing, because he got bullied into giving money to it too?
Trump has standing to go to the New York Attorney General. Good luck getting the New York Attorney General to pay any attention. That's the problem. Again, you've got Democratic Party politics wiring the situation.
And if an attorney general in Texas starts doing the right thing, they indict him.
Precisely. Or any state. Any one state can close down the Clinton Foundation internationally, because it can demand until their criminal investigation is finished that the foundation not function to defraud anybody else. And that's a key point. My book, Partners in Crime, showing how the Clintons have used the White House to enrich themselves, which they have. It's been their only job, and they have $100 million each net worth. It can be shut down by ordinary citizens demanding their state attorney generals investigate.
And so people should do it now, and no one loses who does it, because it draws attention to it. What do you make then, and we're about to go to break, come back and answer this, we can start answering it. What do you make by the fact that they have all these other secret bank accounts in the foundation and they don't report out of Canada? I'm sure it's well more than $200 million.
Oh, and also pass-through accounts with secret shell corporations, WJC.
That's what you're an expert on, is banking. So when we come back with Dr. Jerome Corsi, we're going to talk about, look, if they brought in $6-7 billion at the foundation and $69 billion in their global initiative, and I mean, we're not talking about $200 million here. These are people that stole George Washington's China. I mean, these are the white trash of the white trash. They are the creme de la creme. They were brought into power by people that wore white, pointy sheet head outfits. I mean, these people are jokes. I mean, again, the new WikiLeaks, the new DC leaks, Hillary selling access to the Chinese president. I didn't even think of that. She is so amoral. She's just selling to anybody. It's all massive felonies. And Dr. Jerome Corsi is an expert, not just on the banking, but on the federal laws. His new book, Partners in Crime, is now on sale at Amazon, you name it. Get it at bookstores. Very important, this book. Go to the very, very top. We're going to talk about the book more in the next segment. But continuing, Dr. Corsi, and folks can also follow you there on Twitter. We've got that up on screen for TV viewers. You were interrupted by the break getting into the types of crimes they're committing, all these banking laws. I mean, I've talked to lawyers. If I set up some legal foreign shell corporation and try to put a little bit of money in there to avoid taxes, they'll probably come after me, even though I'm following the law. It looks like the Clintons are just engaged in whatever they want. It's wild.
You're exactly right, Alex. And what they've done, the Clintons have also set up these shell corporations. They've got WJC, which is Bill Clinton's initials, WJC LLC and WJC Investments. And both of these two companies function to just pass money through. You couldn't even tell where the money came from or where it's going, because these bank accounts are what money launderers and drug cartels, the Clintons are using the same vehicles for the Clinton Foundation.
They're using classic money laundering strategies.
Yes, classic. In fact, these would be immediately suspect under any banking laws.
Isn't this the red flag of red flags?
Yes, it absolutely is. You don't have a former president operating a shell corporation in a pass-through account. That's what money launderers do, what terrorists do. And then they've got money coming in through lookalike corporations. They have a Clinton Foundation in Canada. They've got a Clinton Foundation in Ireland. And often these are not even registered. I mean, the Clinton Foundation only got a determination letter initially to build the library. The Clinton Foundation decided that it was going to raise money for AIDS. It decided it was going to go into all these other structures. I can't see how the Clinton Global Initiative is a charity at all. You know, the money contributed to it, the philanthropy, gifts, and awards, these are very
So here's the bottom line. It's one of the biggest criminal operations ever in our face. A, why do they think they can get away with it? B, will they? I mean, where does this go?
Well, I think, I first got onto this with Charles Ortel, who's a good friend and one of the top financial analysts in New York on Wall Street. And Charles said to me, you've got to look at the audited financial statements filed with the Clinton Foundation, because they're absolutely fraudulent. They list gross sums, the amount of money that came into they don't say where it came from. They don't account for the speeches. We have no idea where the speech money was paid for.
If you or I did this, we would be indicted within, what, 6 months?
Oh, sooner. I mean, this is so patently obvious. Money disappears. The money that the United Nations in Geneva says they give to the Clintons for AIDS is different every year than the amount of money the Clintons report. I mean, the financials don't even reconcile.
Why are they so arrogant? What does it show about their brains that they would do?
These are the kind of financials that are criminal files. These are the financials that you use to hide money. Just like a pass-through account is a giveaway that you're trying. That's how I caught, I did the initial reporting on HSBC, that it was money laundering.
Again, as I said, your real rock star status isn't even politics people know you for. It's you're an expert in banking. You were the first guy to go after HSBC.
And by the way, Comey from the FBI worked on the board of directors for HSBC. These people are all tied together. Loretta Lynch gave HSBC, the attorney general, when she was in New York.
So they're clearly using it.
Yeah, they're clearly using the techniques. These are money laundering. That's the whole point of partners in crime. You've got to look at this as a criminal enterprise, money laundering, drug.
I understand you're documenting it's a fraud. We know that. You've done a great job. The read the book, but we're going to break. We're going to come back and give you the floor. But the psychology, Dr. Corsi, why do they think they can get away with it? Is it because they think they're invincible?
They think they're smarter than everybody else and that they have the political power to push everyone off, and they'll never be investigated. They'll never be prosecuted. Criminals always think they'll never get caught. They're the smartest.
So it's the criminology. It's the arrogance of a criminal.
Absolutely. And they get away with it, which is what we've got to put an end to.
Absolutely. I don't want this woman having the nuclear buttons when she's so damn arrogant. I mean, these people, folks, if you study criminology, Corsi went right to the heart of it. I've only read, 7 or 8 books on it, but it's like criminals love to get wilder and wilder. And they love to do all this stuff to try to get caught. We don't need this woman running the country. We're going to come back, go through the book. I've got a lot of key questions. Your phone calls, get it. Partners in Crime available.
Not only is the accounting fraudulent, which it tremendously is, there's no detail. You can't figure out where the money came in. The speeches are not accounted for. But also the idea the Clinton Foundation is doing good works needs to be attacked, because I point out that in some of these programs, fewer than 10% of the money goes to the charity for which it was given.
So that's another scandal. I saw the headline, 97%, even mainstream media admitted last week, and you're saying it's worse. The money, she puts it out of one pocket into the other, so that's a whole nother scandal.
Right, and it afforded, meanwhile, the Clintons are flying around in private airplanes there, living in 5-star hotels paid for by the foundation. What you've got is a complete scam. I point out, the drugs that were delivered, the HIV drugs delivered to Africa, were fraudulent. They were purchased from an company in India that made discount drugs, and they were defective.
Unbelievable.
The delivery system, there's an office in the warehouse district in South Boston that runs the Clinton Health Initiative. I went to that office. There's no sign on the outside of the building. You can't find out how many people work there. None of the financial reports detail what those people do, who they are, how
So
many.
let's be clear. They're giving 1%, 2%, 3% of the money to charity. And even when they do that, it's BS.
Right. And, you know, to find out who worked in this office that runs the biggest program, the Clinton Health Initiative, the largest program, this little office in South Boston, I had to interview the guy who delivers soda to the office. He's the only one who would talk to me. There's the only sign on the door. He says, well, there's some 20 people up there working or whatever. He didn't know what they did. You know how much soda they drank. That's the problem. There's no reporting. The money in Haiti that was stolen by the Clintons. Federal reports, I cite some of this investigative reports after the Haiti disaster. Fewer than pennies on the dollar went to the Haiti people. The money was stolen by the Clintons. It was stolen by Beltway organizations with ties to the Clintons. It's been a big scam. You know, people. This is why people need to file criminal complaints with their state attorneys general. As I point out in Partners in Crime, you've got money being solicited by these Clinton criminals to say we're going to stop, you know, earthquake victims. We're going to help in Haiti, earthquake victims in India, AIDS in Africa. No, that's all just playing on misery. That's all using your sympathy to steal your money from you in a classic money laundering scheme where it's shell game. You'll never.
So I go back to square one, and the book breaks it down. Partners in Crime. This is like a million times what Nixon did. Why are they so emboldened? All these emails of Soros saying, have the UN take over the internet, shut down conservatives, arrest everybody, have the UN run our police. I mean, this is worse than I ever thought it was. These people are nuts.
Alex, I went into the Soros documents, and so I found that Soros funded a group, an African-American advocacy group called Color a Change, and they ran a campaign against the advertisers that succeeded in getting Glenn Beck off Fox and in getting Pat Buchanan off MSNBC. And the Soros documents brag about this. Alex, if your show had been on a cable network, Soros would have launched a campaign against your advertising.
That's why we self-fund, absolutely. We even have them go after our suppliers. I tell you what's scary about this is they've got so much human. I know you've dealt in intelligence stuff that they like know all sorts of stuff and even go after suppliers that aren't even listed. I mean, they are literally up my you-know-what.
And they will continue to be with the IRS, with the banking officials. All the investigations you get are not by accident.
Oh, I know.
What the Soros documents prove is they brag about this in their internal board meetings and when they're funding.
Well, let's talk about Fox. I mean, I was told by Fox executives that I met with at the Waldorf Astoria in Cleveland that already knew this. They said, no, you're absolutely right. There's a coup, made up Roger Ailes stuff. Okay, hugged a girl, whatever. The point is, this was the takeover in case they steal the election. They don't want Fox there to call it the other way. Fox isn't perfect, but they're taking it down, folks, because it's better than CNN, obviously. And it's just a bellwether of where we are that Media Matters 3 years ago in Politico said, run by the White House, we're going to infiltrate Fox and take it down. They did it. I mean, that is so outrageous. Dr. Corsi.
Well, and again, going against your advertisers, getting the regulators to look at your taxes, to look at your bank accounts. I mean, what Partners in Crime is all about is that the Clintons have figured out a way to run a foundation where they steal the money. And they know that they control the IRS. They know they control the banking organizations. They control the Department of Justice. So they'll never be investigated. While this is the global elite stealing the resources it needs to perpetuate their privilege and their...
I agree. So in a football game, with every major globalist foundation and every publication saying we're in red level emergency, our plan for world government's falling apart. I think it was like Wall Street Journal today and Washington Post were just saying we're dead. American-driven globalism is over. Well, it's not American-driven. It's globalists hijacking us, using us. Are they playing possum, or are they really in this much trouble?
Well, what they're worried about is people are catching on. The American public is realizing that the economy economy's been stagnant. The middle class is losing their homes. They're losing their jobs. We've got 94 million people in America that are considered useless by the left. The African Americans have been abused for decades.
Let's be clear. The left makes people dependent and then talks crap about them all day, how they're worthless.
Yeah, because they're worthless. They have, all that Hillary Clinton wants is African American votes. All she wants is Latino votes. Obama's done nothing for the African Americans in this country. The crime rates, the rates of
unemployment's doubled.
The poverty. Look at Detroit. I mean, you want every major city in the United States to be Detroit, and you have the United States as a whole move towards Detroit, and then put Hillary Clinton in office.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Corsi, the new book, Partners in Crime. How do they strike back, obviously? What do you expect in the next 69 days today till the election, November 8th? What do you expect to happen? What do you think about the polls? Obviously, internal polling shows Trump ahead in most polls. Even the LA Times admits he's a point ahead. They do these fake polls where they do 15% more Democrats than Republicans and Reuters and then say, oh, my gosh, he's got a 12-point lead. That's a 3-point deficit. I mean, look into your tea leaves in like a 2 or 3 minute synopsis as a general of these wars, General Kenobi. What do you expect them to do next?
Well, there's going to be some unexpected wars. There's going to be another terrorist attack. There's going to be possibly even an assassination attempt.
So they're going to October surprise false flags.
Yeah, false flags and, manipulating the news.
Could they activate their jihadi forces they've brought in?
They could. I mean, we could have that. And we could also have, more diversions like this Huma Abedin thing with Wiener. I mean, who cares? But again, it's sympathy for Huma Abedin. Stories about sex. The Democrats know that they'll survive sexual scandals. They think they will. I think some of the rape stories that Roger Stone has brought forth in his book are very, very damning to the Clintons. But there's going to be a false flag manipulation of the news. And I caution the Trump organization and the Secret Service to be especially vigilant with both candidates. We don't need any political violence in the remainder of this campaign. It would be extremely detrimental to our cause of freedom because the globalists would just use it as another attempt to grab power. That's what's going to happen. Also, fear tactics. You're going to have, the Clinton people trying to put Donald Trump as a madman, trying to say he's going to take this away from you. He's going to take that away from you. Don't listen to it. Donald Trump is the last real hope we have to preserve any freedom in this country. And the possibility of losing the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, you go on with Hillary Clinton, is real. There will be no religious freedom. There'll be no gun freedom, no Second Amendment. These are serious.
And by the way, they've always denied they want our guns. I've seen the Washington Post, Rolling Stone, all of them. They go, yeah, we're going to ban every gun and take them from you. And they'll even add stuff like, your kids belong to us, by the way. There's this sickening arrogance and this wild-eyed authoritarianism, even to the street-level minions of these people.
With the Soroses doing the intellectual propaganda disinformation techniques of saying, no, they're not Muslim terrorists who are unvetted. They're refugees. They have to be under the UN law. This is propaganda. This is disinformation, constantly done. It's the police who Black Lives Matter. The police are racist. Police are doing their jobs. By and large, throughout America, African-American communities depend on the police. Hillary
and the cops pulling back's what's caused 1,000+ black people to be shot this year in Chicago. I mean, look, the fact is, statistically, a couple hundred black people get shot by cops a year. It's totally made up. And I'm not even defending police, but you're absolutely right. It's a total George Soros-funded red herring. When the average cop has a nightmare job, they want them to quit their job and put a social justice warrior in that position.
While behind the scenes, the Soroses and the Clintons steal billions of dollars from which they fund this leftist agenda. And it's not even a leftist agenda. They'll abandon the left as soon as they get power in the globalists. This is about the fact that, 94 million people to the extreme globalists are worthless. They're not needed.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, because you're one of the top experts. I'm not kissing your rear end. It's true. Dr. Jerome Corsi in the new book, Partners in Crime, worldnetdaily.com. You were one of the top experts. We really tells it like it is. Historically, looking at this situation, what do you think our chances are? Because I see a lot of positive things, I see a lot of negative things, and I'm constantly thinking, my God, it's worse than we thought. I mean, what can we do? Where are we? What's our position right now?
We have to keep fighting. We have to keep bringing the truth out. We have to tell, reporting every day as we're doing. Get these stories out there, document them. American people are waking up. Donald Trump, I've known for 40 years. He always looks like he's losing, and then he wins. He's a tomcat. He fights, but and the press hates him. They're constantly against him. He's constantly threatening
because he is a loner. I mean, he's done the whole thing his own way before in business.
And done tremendous things for New York. I mean, look at going back to the Commodore Hotel, which is now the Grand Hotel. The Javits Center built on land he got.
He loves to take old crappy things and make them beautiful.
He's done tremendous things for New York. He'll do tremendous things.
He will go to Detroit and rebuild it. These people, I mean,
and they're afraid because he'll rebuild it in a way that will bring back jobs, will bring back people. Trump cares about people. I've seen it in his employees. I've seen it in the people who live in his projects. I've seen it in people who work for him. Well, I know a great number of them love Donald Trump because he does care about people. You're not going to find anybody who really, loves Hillary Clinton except George Soros. Her rallies are going to have 250 people to it. The only people supporting her are the globalists who want to, contain this elite power structure over the news, filtering. Oh, you can't be told this story.
Well, sure. What about the fact that he was here in Austin and they had 20,000 people in the deal? Our reporters were there 3 hours early, had to park 2.5 miles away and walk in. And Texas Monthly said he didn't have big crowds and it wasn't capacity you'd think it was. I tried, even though I had passes to get in, I couldn't get in. And I was invited backstage because it was miles of traffic. I got there 2 hours before. And then Texas Monthly lied. I mean, Texas Monthly didn't usually do that. Texas Monthly's written fair pieces on me. It's like they're all in, Dr. Corsi. They said that Trump didn't have big crowds in Texas.
And they're going to demonize everybody. They're going to do the propaganda and disinformation.
But that's what I'm saying. How are they so lockstep? How are they getting the media that was always horrible to be 10 times more deceptive?
The media is in the bag for them. Partisan media in the bag for them, and they're circulating.
But it was capacity, doctor. 2.5 mile lines, and they said that no one was there.
Read Politico. Read any of the groups that are really in the bag. These daily newsletters they send out. They've got the themes. They've got the structure. They're communicating as they did in all these news nets, email.
Oh, yeah, we had media call in. That's what they said. They said they all coordinate with each other.
Coordinate. So you come out, okay, Hillary Clinton, obvious health problems, medications that are, old medication, post-concussion syndrome. You're going to see, I think, the potential for falling down or get confused and not be able to answer. Mainstream media says, no, nothing to see here. It's only a white right-wing conspiracy. No, she's got serious health problems. Even Obama's
You saw the Secret Service guy, he runs up and says, it's okay, and he has the pen, the doctor.
Yes.
And she looks completely insane.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see her losing it. These little seizures Hillary's having, the falling down. These are serious issues, and the mainstream media is covering it up, just like they are the Clinton Foundation. But I think the facade is cracking. You see the New York Times saying the Clintons have got to close down the Clinton Foundation. That won't solve anything.
I agree. I'm even seeing like the Washington Post, out of this sea of lies, the Washington Post goes, Hillary really should have stood up for the gay people. Trump did. She lost an opportunity. Then we go to the gay pride parade. They're all, we hate him. He wants to kill us. I mean, it's just crazy.
Hillary saying that Donald Trump, disabused a Gold Star parent. When Hillary Trump came back in Benghazi, we had the bodies coming back from Benghazi, our ambassador, the others who died there. And Hillary saying it was caused by a movie. She's lying to their parents.
She says, what difference does it make?
What difference does it make? We got Bill Clinton abusing women and Hillary abusing their victims.
Her first court case was defending a guy she knew was a rapist of a 7-year-old. I mean,
yeah, Paula Jones that he paid $800 and some thousand to settle a rape case with, and yet Hillary says she's for women. How can Hillary?
I got to be honest with you, it's crazy. It's like they say he's flip-flopped on immigration. He always said it's too hard to be legal. We're going to make it easier to be legal, but if you're a felon, we're kicking you out. We got a lot of bad folks coming in from Mexico, criminals, and then they turn into all Mexicans are criminals, and now they say it's a flip-flop when all he's doing is repeating what he always said.
Yeah, but except, Donald Trump is brilliant. He's always been able to get the unearned media. He's very tough for these people to get. because Donald Trump's used to New York. He's used to the media abuse.
And unearned means he doesn't pay for it.
And that's right. In the final analysis, everybody's talking about Trump, and they will to the end. And if they're all talking about Donald Trump right to the end, it's his agenda. He's going to win. And it's going to be massive, because I think you're going to find, just like in the Brexit vote, they're going to tell you, oh, don't vote. Hillary's going to win. It's all useless.
It's all done.
It's all done.
Donald Trump's dropping out next week.
Yeah, and the truth is, they're scared to death because they see what's going to happen starting in the next 2 months, and that is people are going to wake up and they're going to start paying attention, and they're going to say Donald Trump is the real deal.
Well, the algorithms show that. I mean, if people want anti-establishment, he's in. I want to take a few phone calls. The book, Partners in Crime, available. Where's the best place, Dr. Corsi, for people to get this?
Thanks. It's available at all the bookstores. It's available at barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. WND Superstore has copies that are signed. It's available everywhere, and thank you. I very much appreciate it.
Hey, we're all in the same war together, brother. God bless you. Let's take a few calls here. Alex is calling in from Mexico. Trump's set to meet in the next 30 minutes with the Mexican president, which I think is a great move, just like going to New Orleans was when Hillary wouldn't. Alex in Mexico, you're on the air with Dr. Jerome Corsi. Go ahead.
Hello, guys. Good afternoon. Well, first, let me say really quick that Soros-owned Mexican media is going absolutely nuts. And they're accusing the Mexican president of helping Donald Trump. So I would have to ask you, why would the Mexican government invite Donald Trump?
I was about to say, Fox says you're not welcome here because he's a globalist selling Mexico out. Mexico's always been better than other Latin American countries about not selling its sovereignty. Under the NAU, it ends. And that's what I would be. I was Trump. I'd tell the Mexican people, hey, my country's mine, yours is yours. We can work together, but we're being conquered by globalists. That's a great point, Dr. Corsi. Why did the Mexican president say 2 weeks ago, I would meet with Trump, and now Trump ran down there in a very honorable, respectful way?
Well, I suspect that we better have double the security when Trump is down there.
Oh, they admit the cartels are coming after him.
And secondly, I think that, you know, Donald Trump, the Mexican government may think they can embarrass Trump, or that they can pull some stunt that will make Trump look bad. And I'm sure the New York Times, which, by the way, is owned by Carlos Slim.
Who runs Mexico.
Carlos Slim is in business with Soros. He's in business with the Clinton Foundation.
Sure, but I mean, maybe they are, but maybe they're hedging their bets because they know he's the guy.
No, I don't. I think the main plan is to embarrass Trump and make him bad, have a narrative come out of this that they can.
Oh, like he was hated in Mexico. Look at this pathetic pig. But everybody sees the courage to go down there.
Well, and I think that's what
he's walking into a trap.
Trump is communicating beyond the media. That's what scares the media so much. The New York Times knows it's losing its impact. The Wall Street Journal even is losing its
And that's
impact.
why they're so scared of him. I was asking, why are they so scared of Trump? I've never seen anyone there they're 50 times more scared of him than anybody I've ever seen.
Well, they've almost won. They got Glenn Beck. Soros paid to get Glenn Beck, attack the advertisers, get him off.
Sure, Beck rolled over.
Pat Buchanan. I mean, the list goes on and on. They've gotten the conservatives.
No, they've told me if I don't roll over, it's over. And I just said pull the trigger.
Fox. You know, I have done a single thing, not one interview with this book on Fox. Fox is
No, I know. That's how you know we're 2 minutes to midnight. They are shutting everything down, my friend. It's great to be here at the end with you, being honorable, isn't it?
Well, you know, look, I think, Alex, we're going to win, because I just can't believe that, you know, this great nation is going to roll over and let these globalists steal our freedoms and enslave us. Fundamentally, the American people, I think, are out there and waking up. They're looking around. They're realizing they can't, you know, they're paycheck to paycheck and don't even know they're going to keep their house.
Exactly. And look how presidential Trump is. I mean, this guy is, I got to say, he's amazing.
Well, and Trump is seriously he has created jobs. Latinos look, African Americans look. Trump has employed more African Americans and more Latinos. He's done more for the minorities in this country.
That's why Jesse Jackson gave him that award 20 years ago.
Than all the Democratic candidates put together. Hillary doesn't deploy, you know, African Americans. She's not deploying Hispanics. Hillary,
absolutely. Alex, have a quick comeback from Mexico with Dr. Corsi. Go ahead, quick comeback.
Oh yeah. I was thinking the Mexican government maybe sees the things for which they are, and they're not seeing Mr. Trump going second in the polls, and that is why maybe they invited him, because they see Hillary going down in the polls.
That's what I think. But Corsi usually has the inside baseball. This president has criticized him, but maybe he realizes what's going on. I mean, look, sovereignty's the way to go. Our countries aren't perfect, but you go with globalists, they will exploit you. They will screw you over. Thank you, Alex. I'm going to come back and take a few final calls from John in Mexico and JT Code and others. Dr. Corsi's got to go. Partners in crime. We got 60 seconds left for you to finish, sir. Go ahead.
Well, it's just been a great pleasure and honor to be with you again. I think the whole purpose of Partners in Crime and the Clinton Foundation is to expose that these people are criminals, and that the Soros gang, the Clinton gang, even the mainstream media, will go to any length to antagonize sponsors, to suppress the truth, to keep a conservative message out. They don't want the First Amendment. They don't want the Second Amendment.
That's right. They're coming after our funding, so everybody fund us. Get the book, buy stuff at InfoWarsStore.com, spread the word. It's how you win the war in 21st century.